Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. My name is Leon Jones, and I'm going to get right into it. And tonight, I'm just going to give you a brief overview. I'll try to keep this video roughly 30 to maybe 45 minutes. But I want to talk about the American people and politics because right now we are a deeply divided country. And what is causing the division in this country is you have individuals who don't have any idea of what politics really is. Many individuals here in this country are getting their information from sources that are doing nothing but indoctrinating individuals. They're utilizing, I'll give you some examples. They're utilizing racism, they're utilizing fascism, they're using a lot of isms that they really don't have any idea of what they mean, like fascism. Okay, I was watching a video, and this liberal white woman went up to a police officer, not even an ICE officer, a police officer, and he was filling out his report at a school, and apparently she's been eyeing this police officer. So was out there for about 40 minutes, and she was saying, "How long are you going to be here?" Well, for the most part, he's doing his job. Now, she said, "We're paying for you police to be out here. There's enough fascism going on out here." Well, where are they hearing the word fascism? They're hearing the word fascism from the mainstream media. And if you look at the Democratic Party is just indoctrinating a whole lot of people. This is why the polls, the generic polls, have the Democrats winning back at least the House. Now, you can't look at everything and foresight like that based off of polling data. In fact, I will tell the president this: with ICE out there, what he needs to do is this, and he has two options. He needs to explain that they're dealing with criminals. He needs to explain the Lincoln Riley situation so it doesn't happen again. He needs to explain that ICE is there just to give the police officers a hand. Now, the problem is when it comes to states like Minnesota, Minnesota has a lot of corruption going on, particularly with all these Somalis out there. And Tim Walz and his lieutenant governor and Keith Ellison, they knew it. They did nothing about it. And what's going on is you have your politicians, they're utilizing some of the civilian people, the ignorant civilian people, to do the dirty work for them. You see Tim Walz out there protesting in Minnesota. You see Keith Ellison out there protesting in Minnesota. You see the lieutenant governor protesting. In fact, the lieutenant governor of Minnesota was, in my humble opinion, utilizing identity politics by saying she was 20% Indian. And something else that's real racist. See, they want to talk about the faces that were put on monkeys from a movie, but they don't want to talk about white people calling black people who were in ICE house niggas. But some of the biggest house niggas are the ones on the left because they actually vote for a party for what? The Democratic Party is full of white supremacy. And I know the people that you really want to indoctrinate now, and I know a number of individuals say that the millennials and Gen Z, well, you have stupid people in all generations. I really believe that the older generations, particularly your baby boomers, some of your Gen X individuals, they're particularly on the black side, they're more of your house niggas because many of them vote Democrat. In fact, if I broke it down when it comes to black people of the percentage by generation who voted for the Democratic Party, I would have a high amount of individuals from the late millennials to Gen Zers who actually voted Republican. The reason why you have a high number of black people voting Democrat is you have your black women, most of them are always going to vote Democrat, particularly the ones from Gen X. And I'm talking about all of Gen X and the baby boomers, and even some from the silent generation. So if you think about it, these are the ones who got jobs. They had no real fight in them. And many of them, they didn't pass anything down. And the bottom line, when it comes to a number of your older people, they also are your more religious people. But now you have the left. I don't believe everybody who is a Gen Xer and a baby boomer doesn't have conservative views. The ones who really have your more liberal views are your white women out here. It's your liberal white women. They are the most destructive out here. In fact, the liberal white woman actually believes that she is God. I know there's some simps out there calling a black woman God. No, the liberal white woman believes that she knows more than anybody. These are the ones who live in these suburban areas, and these are the ones that are going to vote. These are the ones that want to tell your kids that they can have an opinion. In other words, these are the ones who are basically friends to their kids. Now, are all of them like that? No. But if you look at the generations, and I was watching a Tyler Perry movie, and the way some of these kids talk back to their parents, some of these kids deserve a good knock in the mouth. Because even black people, when they did vote Democrat, I will say this about black people and their kids. I'm going to throw a little bit of social topics into this. I don't recall of too many black people putting their kids in timeout. They just didn't do it. That's white people shit, particularly your liberal white people shit. They put the kids in timeout. They believe that you should be diplomatic with your children. The problem is your children won't respect you. Now, am I saying go and abuse your children? No, but your children need to understand that if we don't teach you at home as parents, what's going to happen is the cops, they're not going to care anything about you. They're going to throw you behind bars, particularly if you are black. And speaking of black, I was watching a Phil Advise video, and I like Phil Advise. He does some good stuff, but he had some, I guess he was talking about Becky. We always talk about Becky, Ling Ling, and Maria. White woman, Hispanic woman, an Asian woman. Here's the problem with what he said, though. He used one bad example. He used an example of a black man who moved in with a white woman. And this black man didn't have anything. And she probably called him a nigger, something like that, Negro. Bottom line, I will say this to you guys. If you are going to be with a woman, make sure you have your own. Because if she kicks you out, you can go get your own. See, a lot of these guys are moving in with these women, and the women have everything, and they can throw that on top of a guy's head. Particularly black women do that. They want to show you how much power they have. Now, why am I bringing all this up? Because you have a number of women running for office now. They want that power. And you're getting more women in the Democratic Party running. And you have more and more. You look at who won the Virginia and the New Jersey governor's races. Women did. And a number of women are going in there as if they were moderate Democrats. No, most of your women today are leftists. Women are moving more and more left because they believe the patriarchy has oppressed them. Bottom line, the patriarchy has had its issues, but I don't believe it's oppressed women. Women, here's the thing, and I see it on panels. And shout out to a brother, and I've been catching on to his videos. And Brother Guy King sent me some of his videos. There's a guy out there by the name of Jet Black. Listen to his channel. And there's another guy out there. And I've been listening to him lately. Shout out, of course, I'm going to always give a shout out to Machismo TV. They bring the heat in a different fashion. They have their panel on Sundays. Then they have their clips from other videos. And Brother Machismo, if you want, you can even use some of my information because I'm on your side when it comes to politics. So, that being stated, shout out to a brother by the name of Accountable Commentary. His brother is one of my kind of brothers. I was listening to his video and he was talking about Keisha, and he said something. And I actually saw what he said on TV. It was about Madam C.J. Walker. You see, Booker T. Washington went to give a speech, and this was way back in 1912. Madam C.J. Walker was the first black millionaire, I believe. She had hair care products. Now, her hair care products were to help black women straighten their hair. But he was going to give a speech, Booker T. Washington, and she interrupted his speech by coming up to the microphone saying that she's creating jobs for women. Well, right then and there, and this was 1912 now, we're going back 114 years, and it's probably before that. This is when the black woman then did not have any respect for black men. This is why, for black women, we don't want to use that term modern women because they've been the same all throughout the years. It's just that it was a little more controlled, but a number of them had the same views of black men. And black men are nothing. Black men, they can't get jobs. They're in prison. They're uneducated. They're not smart politically. Well, a lot of black women are not very smart politically either. They've never been smart. They've been given everything from white supremacy. And to prove it, you look at a lot of black women when they come on TV, particularly white women shows like the Kelly Clarkson show. Well, they had Leslie Jones a long time ago on a show. And she came on there talking smack like she was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Well, I don't believe in being feminine or masculine. Well, for the most part, a number of black women have never been feminine because they want to control the relationship. Black women, for the most, and this is not beating on black women, this is just true. You have your Sojourner Truths. You have a lot of your black feminists out there who really, really, they go harder at feminism than white women. And that is a problem. And this is why I say in the black community, it's just two divided communities. And we'll never come together. But I'm just using that as an example. All of the infrastructure, the men really believe that they need to cater to the black woman. They follow, black men are the only ones who follow their women. Although I'm starting to see some of the white guys doing the same thing. But if you look at Congress, particularly that Pam Bondi hearing, well, it used to be that leaders in Congress were respectable. Now it's a shit show. I remember when Marjorie Taylor Greene said something about the fake eyelashes that Jasmine Crockett wore. Had nothing to do with policy. And the bottom line, this is what happens when you get women involved in anything that men had. This is why I will not allow any women on my channel. And shout out to Accountable Commentary for saying the same thing. He had a woman named Veronica. He got her up out of there. She was in his chat. And on his channel, be like that. Because we have enough men who have allowed women to come into their circles and just screw everything up. Now, bottom line, men have to get their balls back. A lot of men are eunuchs. They let women run all over them. And this is the issue with the American people. Reason why a lot of American people are stupid, because most American people in this country don't do any ounce of reading. Even the ones who go to school, they take what is given to them and they run with it. And that's known as propaganda. I mean, you look at the ICE situation. Let me ask something. What if ICE was out there when Joe Biden was president? And look at Obama. Obama had more individuals deported when he was president than Donald Trump. But nobody has said anything. And I saw ICE when I lived in Reading, Pennsylvania, put individuals in the van and haul them away. Nobody said anything. If we had a Democratic president in here right now, we wouldn't have all these protests. The bottom line is you have a number of individuals who do not like Donald Trump. And now I'm also hearing now that there's nothing in the Epstein files about Donald Trump. In fact, Donald Trump had called the authorities on Epstein for trafficking. Now, the media is not going to report this back in 2009. Shout out to Professor Nez. He reported this. But the media never reported it. And the media is going to only tell you what you need to hear. And the problem with Americans, when you don't study, you end up like Jim Jones or David Koresh. You end up with people brainwashing you, telling you what you want to hear. And once they tell you what you want to hear, you end up running with it. Like you have a number of people really, they have this rah-rah for all these illegals out here. But they think that everybody who is an immigrant in this country is illegal. Half the Democrats, but the Democrats want everybody in it. They don't want open borders. And let me go back to what I said. The Democrats believe that everybody has rights in this country, even the illegal ones. They want illegals to vote. I mean, there's so much gerrymandering going on with all of the states, it's not funny. And the Democrats, again, are trying to rig the elections. The problem with the Republicans as well, when it comes to politics, the Republicans don't fight. Republicans, they don't have an idea of what it is to taste victory. You look at what happened during January 6th. They put a number of individuals who were in that Capitol in prison. Let's see if the Republicans are going to do the same thing. The problems with the Republican Party, the big problem is the Republicans, they're ballless. They're really ballless. The Republicans don't have a clue of what's going on. Now, I also look at all of the internet media like Politico and MS, and they'll tell you how bad Trump's numbers are. But see, these are individuals who are ignorant. They don't read, they don't understand how the economy works. I don't hear anybody talking about the tariffs. I don't hear anybody talking about gas prices. Yes, are things high? Yeah, things are high based on where you live. Now, Trump does need to get out here and start, and I believe he knows that. He's no dummy. He needs to address the American people. Now, I will say this. The ones who are against him, they're always going to be against him. There's nothing you can do for them. But Trump has got to get out here and start talking to some of the Gen Zers and see what the exclusion of Charlie Kirk. See, Charlie Kirk was very influential with getting the younger voters out there to vote for Trump because Charlie Kirk was very knowledgeable. He would go to different campuses. There's nobody like that. I believe Candace Owens is not going to do it. Maybe Brandon Tatum might do it. I don't know. But if you want to win elections as Republicans, you got to come down and talk to the younger people as well. You can't indoctrinate. You have to let them know that you're being indoctrinated. And the Republicans need to start storming this media and challenging the media if they're going to have any effect on winning. See, what it is you have a lot of people who just believe everything that they hear on the media. And then you have the liberals that they think they know more. You know, like the N-word. You have this guy out there. I believe his name is Tory. So you have to watch out for some of these individuals who are black, people like Van Jones. And shout out to my boy Tariq Nasheed, but he's not even married to a black woman. Philip Vise, his second wife is not a black woman. But they love to put in that there's nothing wrong with being black and proud, because I'm black and proud. But you have to be careful who you have for your mate if you're going to start talking about black issues. Now, because you have somebody that is not black in your life, it doesn't mean you can't talk about black issues. You can't. But you got to be very, very careful because individuals are looking at you as well. I'll give you an example. When you have people like Bill de Blasio, he was married to a black woman. He was the mayor of New York. But if it were the other way around, a black man with a white woman now, of course, you do have certain ones, like the gentleman from Florida. You have Clarence Thomas. And when you're a black man, you're always ridiculed. And I'm just going to be honest with a number of black men, thinking black men. Continue to think, stay off the plantation. The plantation is a very dangerous place for you to be because the plantation is going to keep you ignorant, just like a lot of the other American people. And see, here's what it is with the American people. because they don't know what's going on. They hear hate Trump, hate Trump, hate Trump, hate Trump every day. They actually begin to think that Trump is a bad guy, think that Trump is a racist. But you have the Democrats, they're creating scenarios because they don't have anything to go with. But see, the bottom line is when it comes to the American people don't really care about foreign policy. They don't. They barely care about domestic policy. But what you have to do with American people are very gullible. This is why a number of them are stupid. They're very emotional. And see, when they heard that ICE is the terrorist, you have law enforcement, and then a couple of individuals get killed out there through no fault of their own. Now, I want to back it up to this individual named Tory. He's the one that said there's only one exception where you can use the N word when it comes to black people, and that's if they're in ICE. Well, now you've opened it up to where white people can call you the N word now, because they can reverse it and say, okay, what if they had some liberal people in ICE? I mean, he literally came out and said, that's the exception where a black man. So you're going to tell these white liberals that because a black man is working for ICE, he's on the plantation, he's a house nigga? Make that make sense to me. The bottom line is this. When you're on the left side of the political spectrum, that's what you want anyway. He's been programmed to say that. You see, your real sellouts when it comes to black people are on the left, and they don't even know it. Now, do you have some who are conservatives who try to badmouth black people? See, I'm not badmouthing black people. I'm just telling you the facts that black people have to be accountable and stop. And it's not all of them. Because right now, I'm going to tell you the truth about something. Now, a number of black people aren't going to see what I see. Well, when it comes to the reparations, you have all these tethered black folk out there. They're now running the National Black Congressional Caucus. They're now speaking up, and now they want to come together with us as Americans, known as FBA, Foundational Black Americans. They want to now be brothers and sisters of us. But I work for some blacks, some Haitians, and some Africans. And you want to know something? They've run me through the ringer worse than some white folk have run me through the ringer, because they try to acknowledge that they are not black. And many of them are much darker in skin color, skin tone than I am. The bottom line is this: here in this country, when we have a lot of ignorance in this country, it's brought on because social media, when it comes to everybody, it has too many people that they accept. Now, going back to Congress, used to be that Congress was respectful regardless of being a Democrat or Republican. Now, I'm not saying that there was no corruption, but you had a lot more men in Congress then. Now you have women in there, and now it's a shit show right now. And most of your women are in the Democratic Party. That's the problem. And then they come up with this, well, you're mansplaining. Forget that. Well, you're woman-splaining. The bottom line with American men is they gave a lot of their solace to women. Really, for sex. And the ones who are congressmen and senators, they probably had wives who were feminists and told the wives told the men that we're not going to give you any if you make rules for men. I know that's what's been said, but you have too many of us who don't look at the situation from a clear-cut perspective. You have men who get on television, get on YouTube, ones who are talking about politics. Many of them have no clue. This is why I look at people like Deveroy Dawkins, and of course, I look at Will Johnson, Barry Cunningham. Now, these are all black. Anthony Brian Logan, because they're actually coming with the truth. Now, some people may call them coons. No, they're not coons. These individuals have a point of view that I actually agree with because I'm in the real world. I'm not extreme, but when you look at the American people, real Americans, they're tired of this nonsense. But you really have these white liberal women out here. They have no idea what fascism is. I mean, when you're going up to a cop saying, it's a lot of fascism going on here. Well, how is it a lot of fascism going on here? We're not a monarchy. And one of the things that I hate to say is we have so much language that's being misused. We have toxic masculinity. What's so toxic about being a man? We don't have toxic femininity. But it's funny, when men have standards, they're shamed for having standards. But when women have standards, the you go girl syndrome comes out. See, we live in the age of too many double standards that mainly benefit women. We have to allow women in everything we do, but women don't have to allow us in anything that they do. Why is that? Because it makes women look like they're independent. And it makes women, when they come and join everything that a man built, it's equality. And this is what I'm calling the lead, the lies, the emotion, the assumption, and the delusion. This is why right now, in my humble opinion, when it comes to this country, we'll never get back together. We just have too many stupid people out here. And we have people who are going to go into the voting booth for the midterms because they hate Trump, but Trump is not even on the ballot. You have individuals just trying to gerrymander the district to get an extra 4 or 5 or 6 seats, and that might not work. The bottom line is, if you're a Republican right now, everything is always going to be against Republicans because Republicans just don't have a backbone. I will say this. Trump had a backbone. He came with it in 2024. But Republicans, they're not like that. Now, what the Democrats are going to try to do if they get power, the Democrats can impeach, but they can't remove. But see, a lot of Americans don't know about government. And everything with Americans, it's all, they believe the lies, the media. I mean, when I get on YouTube and I see some of the media out here, because now you have mainstream media on YouTube, that's an issue with individuals putting misinformation and disinformation out there to people who have no clue what's going on. And a lot of Americans really don't have a clue because they don't pick up books. Many of them have gone through the collegiate system. Many of them have gone through the public school system, and the public school system is designed to indoctrinate students. That's why you have a lot of kids coming out trying to be social justice warriors, and they talk exactly, you talking about indoctrination that they do in Cuba. These kids talk just like the college professors, and they'll leave normal and they'll come back trying to tell their parents what to do. And you can't even have a discussion with them because they think they know more than their parents. That's the problem. But they're not very politically astute. That's the issue. You got people who are influencers out here having podcasts. And they're going to tell individuals what they want to hear. Listen, I will say this. You don't have to like my content. You don't even have to agree with my content. You have two options. Challenge it or don't watch it. But I'm not going to sit up here and lie to you because I look at everything every day. I look at what's going on. I served my time in the military. I look at being true to what I say, basing it off of facts. Understanding that this country is going in the wrong direction, and it's been going in the wrong direction since Obama was president. But you look at the folks, let me tell you how politically stupid people are. They voted for Mamdani, and they voted for this Abigail Spanberger, or whatever her name is, in Virginia. Haven't heard too much out of New Jersey yet. Now she's going to raise the taxes on everybody in Virginia. And I lived in Virginia. Virginia is a Commonwealth state, just like Pennsylvania, Kentucky, and Massachusetts are. But she's going to sock it to the Virginians. And I hope you Virginians understand what's going on. That's the old Dominion state. You need to really understand that the last governor you had, Youngkin, he had good policies. See, the American people really don't understand what policies are. Now, I will say this, the economy is getting better. Now, are there some things that have to come down? Certainly. The problem is Trump is trying to erase everything that Biden had. And something else you need to know, and I have to review it over again. You have individuals talking about these degrees out here, saying, well, nursing, architecture, they're not professional degrees. Yes, they are professional degrees. What it is the cap number got reduced. And for a good reason. Most nursing students, because nursing is a profession, and it wouldn't surprise me if engineering got its funding cut as well, or capped. Why? Because here's what you need to know. Not going to understand sociology, women's studies, those aren't professional degrees. But see, I know accounting was thrown in there as well. And I'm trying to teach you something so you don't get indoctrinated by the propaganda. You have individuals saying, whoa, they're all female dominated fields. If it were men, it wouldn't be a problem. No. The bottom line is this. For those degrees that got capped at a certain amount, many people will go and get a license. And that license will take care of having to spend more money to go and get a master's degree. In other words, most of your nurses do not have master's degrees. In fact, with nursing, you can go to school, and this is what I'm talking about, people being educated. Nursing, you can actually get an associate's degree from a 2-year college and still take the state boards. People didn't know that. My mom did. Architecture. Okay, architecture is a 5-year program. You have what we call the B-Arc. The B-Arc is the shortest way. It's a 5-year program in architecture. You go through that program, Then you can take your RLA, accounting. You only need 150 credits to be an accountant. Now, people say, oh, you got to go get a master's degree. No, you don't have to get a master's degree. Here's how you get credits in accounting. How do you do your other 30 credits? Well, you do your 120 for the accounting, and then your 30 credits can come in other courses. You can take 15 hours of engineering courses. You can take other management courses. Yeah, you can go and get an MBA if you want. And that'll cover up the 150 hours. But you don't necessarily have to go and get a bachelor's degree or get a master's degree. See, this is what the left doesn't want you to know, because the left, they want to keep everybody in the dark, because the left wants to tell people how to think. And what the left does is incite. You talk about protests, they incite everything. They incite the violence about what's going on here. If you really look at the individuals who are your tyrannical people, it's the left, because they don't want law enforcement. They want kids to be able to make decisions when they're young, to be transformers. This is what the left wants. The left, they play a lot of identity politics. The left, they turn their nose up at everybody else, thinking that they know more than everybody else, and it should be their way or the highway, or they'll cancel you. That's how the left operates in this country. And the left has taken the power over the past 60 years because too many people on the right, they just cower down. And when it comes to voting, the reason why the midterms don't always work the correct ways, because the party in power, when it comes to the midterms, they don't go out and vote as much. See, the Democrats, they're using anything and everything, even if it's lies from them. They don't care about the truth. All they want is to get back at Trump. That's really all it is. But you have too many people out here who don't understand that. They don't care about that. Democrats don't care about you as a person. Now, I'm not giving the Republican Party any props either, because the Republicans are very, very weak too. But the Republicans are very easy to run over. You have a number of them quitting. You know why they're quitting? Because of the pressure from the Democrats. That's why. So the Democrats know how to bring their knives, they know how to bring their ammo to the fight. The Republicans don't fight well. Now they have another special election trying to fill Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat. And the Republicans need to be, in my humble opinion, they need to be cautious. But doesn't mean that the Democrats are winning. I mean, you think about this. You got to look at it another way. Because what the Democrats are trying to do, they're trying to influence the vote. That's what the Democrats are doing. Even if they make up lies. And it's easy to make up lies when you have emotional and gullible people who are going to sit there and not check anything out. And we need more channels like mine to help deliver the word. Now, even me, I will say, get up there and check everything out yourself. See, just because you don't agree with me doesn't mean that I'm incorrect about what I'm saying. It just means you don't agree with it, or you don't know what's going on because you don't have any type of research skills. That's the problem. That's why a number of you look at the mainstream media, because you're very, very lazy. And I always say, when you are lazy, you're always going to get indoctrinated. That's the problem. You really think about this country, they don't want the traditionalism. They don't want the so-called patriarchy. Well, in the Black community, we never had patriarchy. It's always been a pseudo-matriarchy. Now, a number of the Black women, they tolerated the Black men, but you had the same thing then. You had Black people living in ghettos then, particularly in the 1940s when public housing came out. And not all black men left black women. There were some that did. But see, when you have the media and we had shows like Sally Jesse Raphael, and when you had shows like Montel Williams and Oprah and Donahue and uh, Geraldo Rivera and Richard Bay and Tempest Bledsoe and Queen Latifah, when you had those shows, Sally Jesse Raphael and and Ricky Lake and Rolanda Watts, and I just named you right off the top. Almost 10 of those shows. Jenny Jones. That's what individuals in my generation were looking at, because when they came on, I was in my 20s and 30s, and this was in the 90s. And a number of the black women, they were corrupted by those shows. And black men didn't say a damn thing. And that's what's going on with the men in this country. Men have been weakened in this country. They've allowed women to run the show. And when you get your balls handed to you, you end up losing out. This is why a number of women can say anything they want to men, because they know they're not going to be accountable for anything. The problem with a number of men is this: they're afraid to be men. They're afraid that they're going to turn off women. But women can go out and do exactly anything that they want. They can be whores, and it's acceptable. Lesbianism is acceptable. I watch shows like Below Deck. See two women kissing all the time. See two men kissing, there's a problem. Talk about not hitting a woman. But you see these trans men in the Olympics, both winning golds, hit women hard. But a trans woman is not the same as a regular man. But remember, a trans woman still has the power of a man, unless they take a lot of estrogen. But what I'm saying is this: the American people and the everyday American people, a lot of them are stupid, a lot of them don't pay attention. Then you have a number of them that they go on through the day with their lives, but they never take time to even look at anything that's relevant. And I'll be honest with the American people. And this is and I'm going to hit on the Trump administration. This is what the Trump administration has got to do. I mean, if the Republicans are going to win the midterms, because it doesn't look, regardless of what the polls say, if the Democrats really weren't worried, because all the Democrats, they're just using cheating tactics to influence people. Because again, when you have gullible people like the American people, well, it's going to be easy for the Democrats. So they think. But you're going to have a silent majority, because there are a number of people out here who are still traditional, like myself. But when you cater to individuals and you have them believe in the lie, that's the problem. And then also with this country, the maturity level has gone down. The number of people who, and even my age, still immature. They don't know about relationships. They don't know how to have relationships. They don't know how to communicate. the big issue is not just the mainstream media, but it is social media like TikTok. And if you look at TikTok, I don't have a TikTok account and I don't desire to have a TikTok account because, for the most part, when it comes to TikTok, that's where a lot of your stupid people are. I mean, they come out with their mouth with anything. They don't research at all. They don't know history. All they know is, I got an opinion and it makes me feel good to project it. But here's the problem. When you don't back anything up with any type of facts, you get a lot of followers who believe everything you say. And that's the big issue. In the media, corporate media, a lot of these individuals on the media don't know shit themselves. But the issue when it comes to this media, people who run the media, they're getting paid big money. You got paid liars. You got paid protesters. I mean, George Soros is throwing a lot of money around. And all of these individuals who are protesting don't even know what the hell they're protesting about. But you're talking about some house niggas, some slaves, you're protesters. And then these protesters are out there and are told by their political leaders. That's the problem. Your political leaders in Minnesota are telling police not to do anything. Calling ICE fascists. Now, should that Renee Good, should that been handled a little better? It could have been handled a little bit better. All he had to do was take it downtown. But the problem is, if you arrest somebody, particularly on the Democratic side, they're going to get free. You see, in a lot of these blue states, like Washington State, Oregon, California, they're all sanctuary states. And see, the new minority that they're looking at now, the new voting bloc, let's just be honest with you. It's not black people. It's illegals. And all the illegals are not criminals. And you black people out here, get some of these illegals, they're putting them in your neck of the woods. Because it's funny, when DeSantis sent illegals up there to Martha's Vineyard, oh, I saw a lot of hypocrisy. Your ritzy white folk, your liberals, because Obama goes to Martha's Vineyard a lot. Oh, they didn't want him there. Now it becomes the NIMBY situation, not in my backyard. So we're supposed to deal with the illegals here. You really want to get, and this is what ICE should do. Put the illegals in some of these affluent neighborhoods. That's what you ought to do. Don't deport them. Put them in these ritzy white people's neighborhoods and these ritzy black people's neighborhoods. They're so bourgeoisie. Put them there. Put them in Harvard and Yale and see what you come up with. Put them in areas where liberals are. Don't put them in poor areas. Put them in wealthy areas. That's what you ought to do. Nobody's thinking about that. And see how these liberals will start crying. That's the problem. I mean, the mainstream media is going off the rock, the cable media. Now, I do look at the media like MS Now and, of course, your CNN. Their ratings are tanking. Because I will say this, a lot of people don't believe that stuff that propaganda that they're putting out. Now, Fox has stabilized, but Fox is not the same Fox as it used to be. I mean, the only channel now, well, there are two channels out there on television that I might catch. And rarely, but I might catch. I might catch a Newsmax and I might catch a News Nation. But outside that, the only way I hear this propaganda is through clips that people like Brandon Tatum are playing and Barry Cunningham. But we already know. And here's something else Americans don't do either. When a clip is put on, well, they'll believe that clip instead of watching that whole video. This is why I don't do clips. I'll tell you right from the dome right here. And I don't have to go 2 and 3 hours to give you what's going on out there. In fact, I was up at an hour and 45 minutes. So I'm trying to keep it between 30 minutes and an hour. That's all I need. Because I know audiences have low attention spans. In fact, here's another thing, particularly when it comes to Black Americans. When you were Black and educated in America, doesn't mean anything, particularly if you're a man, because even the Black woman will call you a lame. It's the street Negroes that get more respect than individuals who do the right thing. That's a problem. That's why there will never be another Black Wall Street. Now, you may have a block of Black businesses, but what kind of Black businesses do they have? Many of them are going to be restaurants. That's what they're going to be. When you look at the institutions, all dominated by liberals, the churches. This is why I come up with the 5 power conferences of society. The 5 power conferences of society now have absorbed that cancer from left. Now, what are they? Your media, which includes your mainstream media and social media, your education, your religious institutions, the government, and the jobs. Those are the 5 areas that are part of the culture in this country. And they have absorbed all of the left's propaganda. And that's what the left wants to do. They want to continually put the pressure on you so you crack. Some people on the right are cracking. That's the problem. But when you put the pressure on the left, oh, you're racist. It's toxic masculinity. All they have to do is say a few words and the right's going to retreat. And that's the problem. The left owns the narrative in this country. It's true. If the left doesn't agree with something you say, they're always going to go to the race card. And if they can't get that, they're always going to go to the sexism card. They're always going to go to the, oh, we're going to cancel you. Because they're cowards. Yeah, the left is cowards too. The leftists are just as much of a coward. But you got this dumb dude, Tory, who's going to say it's an exception to the rule. Call a Black man a nigger because he's working for ICE. What if somebody called you a nigger because you're an entertainer? You want to slap the dog shit out of them. That's the problem. We have too many people on the left that are trying to bully the rest of us and capitulating to the way they think. We don't want that world. And for you lefties, I just want to put it out there to you. And you Americans, the ones who hate this country, why don't you leave this country? We can do without you. Why don't you leave? You're just nothing but poison. Because you don't care about this country anyway. And with this Bad Bunny situation, I have to retract something. Yeah, there may have been something political behind it, But here's what you need to know. Bad Bunny sold 124 million albums. That's why the NFL picked him up. Now, Bad Bunny didn't get paid it. NFL paid all of his expenses, like his hotel fees. But you know who made a lot of money off of Bad Bunny's music from selling it? Apple did. Even though I didn't understand anything he said, it was about the money. That's what it's about. Now, something that the left doesn't want to hear, it's called capitalism. See, the left only believes in capitalism when it is taking money from you. But when you are making money, they believe that we should distribute our wealth to everybody. That's the problem with the left. That's why they're stupid people. But again, the left makes a lot of people stupid because what the left does is get inside the emotions of a lot of people. That's the problem. That's why I don't trust a lot of the American people. That's why I always call a lot of the American people stupid, because they run on the lies, the emotion, the assumption, and the delusion. That makes them feel good. I mean, you look at all this bull crap with this weight loss. Went from getting the bariatric surgery, now they're poking themselves with the needle to lose weight. No, you want to lose some weight, lose some push aways from the table, stop eating a bunch of this junk, start to read the ingredients. Don't take in as many calories. Learn to cook. That's what, and then do a little bit of exercise. You think just poking yourself with a needle is going to help you lose weight? It might help you lose it quick at first, but you can gain it all back. A lot of people don't even know what they're doing. All this cosmetic surgery. Like I saw another video where this white woman said, men got to keep up. Women are making themselves look much better than men. You men aren't making yourselves look good. No, it's because you women are wearing masks. A lot of makeup, fake eyelashes, and extensions, weave, wigs. That's what you're wearing. You have a mask. It's not that you look good. You're not yourselves. Men, on the other hand, for the most part, we're ourselves. Now, of course, you have a number of individuals out here. Here's the thing, too. You have a number of single people. Well, the reason why a number of individuals are single because nobody wants you because of your attitude. But what they try to do to women and even some of the men, they try to talk themselves up. Now, I understand why the men are single because the juice ain't worth the squeeze out here. Get another woman, number of women think, oh, I got money, I can be, I can be single. Well, a number of them talk a lot of circles around people. But if you're smart enough, what they try to do, they try to put traditionalism and feminism together. It doesn't work because they contradict each other. The bottom line is, have a number of women who align to themselves to make themselves feel good. But you know where that came from? Social media. See, when you believe in the lie, you're always going to think it's true. And that's the problem. And that's why ignorance is running amok here in America. And I'm just going to say this as I conclude. What you need to do as Americans is learn to grow up. Accept the facts. If the facts offend you, then maybe you need to change something in your life. Because no matter how much you're lied to, how delusional you are, in the end, the truth is always going to defeat you. And because most Americans, we already know what this is. It's about hating the president. Because you don't like what he's doing. but I guarantee a number of you will benefit from what he's doing. But this midterm coming up, that's all it is. It's another hate Trump session. Most Americans don't even know about the policies. They don't know about tariffs. They don't even know about the economy, how it works. They don't know about the job market. Many of them don't know anything. But what they do know how to do is listen to the lead. Well, what do I mean by lead? Many Americans have the lead. They believe the lies. They're emotional. They believe with projection and assumption, a lot of gaslighting going on, and they're very delusional. And in the end, in America, no matter how ignorant the number of you Americans are, the truth always set you free. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for some STEM content, check out my second channel, QCIS channel. On that channel, you get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and of course, math. Now, here's where you can find me. 401 Talk Zone Radio Show. It's my main channel. You can find me right here on YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Truth Social, and Rumble. For the QCIS channel, you can find me right here on YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, and LinkedIn. And again, for you Americans out there, I'm just going to tell you this. If it's not you, then this saying is not for you. But if it is you, you better realize, you better understand that the truth is coming for you, whether you like it or not. So I'm going to tell you this right now. Be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. If it doesn't apply, just let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. And if you don't like the shoe, just change it. Once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful, grateful, gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.